conversation.
Yes, I can.
So just want to say hello to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our hot topic today, houses and Arizona housing trends. We all know that the housing situation has been kind of crazy here in Arizona since, what was it, like the summer of 2020? Is that when it started to get kind of wild?
Pretty much around April, May,
Yeah,
early
April, May.
summer.
But, you know, that doesn't mean we know what's going to happen next. That's why I brought in Greg. He is our Chief Lending Officer here at Copper State Credit Union. And we're going to hear from him about the market overall. We're going to get some tips for buyers, for sellers, and so much more. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And first, Greg, I'd love to hear a little bit about your background, how you came to be such an important member of our team here at the credit union and heading up mortgages. So tell us about yourself.
Thank you. Been in the Phoenix and with the credit union the last 5 years. Born and raised in Indiana, came out here for the weather, which is spectacular, cannot complain. I've spent my entire career in banking. Mostly on the lending side, all the way from collections to workout loans, litigation type stuff, and have done every type of lending there is, mortgage, commercial, personal.
So your whole career being like 10 years, right?
Sure. We can go with that.
So how long have you been in lending overall?
Probably around 32 years.
Wow, awesome. So that's a lot of experience. I'm sure you've had a lot of mentors and great people you've worked with along the way.
A lot of great mentors, been through several crises. And,
right.
So you learn a lot managing through crisis, which we've done the last year. We did it back in 08, 09, had great mentors during that time, and have always enjoyed it.
And you're still here.
I am still here.
So that's a good as indicator as any. So let me start with my first question, which I think is what people want to know most: predictions. What are your predictions overall for the housing market in Arizona this year? I know we had some crazy growth from last year to this year. What are you seeing as we continue on?
We're going to continue to see the Phoenix market grow in prices. Housing prices are going to continue to grow. I think they're going to slow this year. For a couple different reasons. That just the availability of houses is getting better. It's still not, it's still a seller's market. But with the feds saying they're going to increase rates 3 to 4 times this year, every 25 basis points they go affects affordability of a home for somebody. So that'll slow the appreciation. Year over year from 20 to 21, Phoenix led the nation where if 34% growth, which basically means in 21, you got 34% less home than you did in 2020.
Wow.
So I don't think we're going to approach that crazy numbers, but I think we're going to lead the nation again. And the appreciation will probably continue into July, August, and then I think we'll plateau out for the rest of the year.
So we can still expect an increase in values.
Yes.
Just not 34%.
I would be shocked if it's 34% with the rate increases and the way the market's going. But Phoenix is a growing area.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got a lot of business and industry coming here.
That's so true.
We could all, there's some wild cards that could inflate that number.
So essentially, and you talked a little bit about the Fed, but the Fed raising rates that really affects, you know, one credit union and banks from borrowing from each other, that ends up affecting the mortgage rate that somebody goes home with, right?
Absolutely. You know, last year we were seeing the 30-year fixed rates in that 3 to 3.25 rate. Right now we're creeping up closer to 4%, and by mid-year we'll definitely be over 4% for that. And that affects the monthly payment.
Right, it affects the monthly payment, and especially as the Fed continues to make changes, you know, that's going to make it go up and down. So that monthly payment is definitely going to be affected, which means you're saying that also is going to affect values.
I think so, yes.
All right. So sounds good. still have some houses left to buy, I guess.
Yes.
Which is a good thing. The next thing I wanted to ask you is, how do you think 2022, looking forward, might be different than last year for buying and selling? How might it be similar, right? We've just had such unprecedented times. I want to know, what do you think is going to be similar or different in the upcoming year?
I think we're going to move into a purchase market where people are going to upgrade, or we're going to be seeing more purchases than refis. Rates have been so low, and once the Fed start raising rates, that's going to slow the refi business quite a bit. This is going to, and by doing that, that's going to give a chance for the appraisals to catch up to the market. We've had such crazy appreciation that if you're buying the house today, within 90 days, that house is worth so much more, and the appraisals have not been keeping up. Which means you're either coming back with more money down, you're going to have to negotiate something. So I don't think we're going to see that as much this year as we did last year.
So like last year, basically the appraisals aren't matching or meeting the sales prices.
They were not, because they just couldn't keep up. The key factor in appraisal was comparable sales of like properties within the same vicinity. And as MLS updates and as the trades update in there, it just couldn't keep up with the 34% that we were seeing.
Right. That makes sense. So you're thinking that's going to slow down. And, it's interesting. Phoenix metropolitan area, Arizona in general, it's a desirable destination. Obviously, values are increasing much faster than other areas of the country. What are some factors that you think weigh in here?
I think obviously the weather. Everybody loves the weather out here. It's much better than Indiana. My daughter,
especially this time of year.
Yes, my daughter sent me a picture Tuesday of 10 inches of snow in her backyard, and glad she has that.
Wow.
And I don't.
Oh my goodness.
But we still have the weather, and it's just such a desirable market for business. We've got several chip manufacturers coming into the area that's going to bring jobs.
Which we know that's definitely needed.
That's definitely needed. And with those plants is going to come industries that's going to supply them. So there's a lot of manufacturing growth, a lot of business growth. Several companies are relocating their headquarters here. That's going to continue to help the real estate market.
That sounds like good
prices
news.
Go up.
That sounds like good news to me.
It's good news for the community. It's great news for Phoenix and homeowners. You're going to see appreciation continue, in my opinion, several more years. That's going to outpace the country.
So what's a good way to find out the value of my home? Like asking my neighbors?
I would contact a realtor or somebody that's in the business.
You're so nice about it. You should have said no. You're crazy.
Yeah, the media and your neighbors are not a good source to value your home. You need to talk to a mortgage professional. We have two highly skilled mortgage loan officers, originators here at the credit union. They can help you with that. And of course, a realtor has a better idea of more hands-on to the market. They can give you the best estimate.
So essentially the sets of tools that our mortgage team has and that realtors have, those are going to be the most accurate valuations.
Those are going to be the most accurate.
Okay. That's helpful to know.
Yep.
So what can buyers do this year to set themselves up for success? Let's say we've got some people who are looking to buy. What do they need to know? What do they need to be aware of to really set themselves up for success?
The key there is still being prepared, just as last year. Get that pre-approval. Have your income documents in there. You're going to need a couple years taxes. You're going to need some recent pay stubs. We're going to ask for them for a couple times. You'll need them at application. We're going to need them right before closing.
Which, by the way, we will send a link over in the comments. We have a mortgage documents checklist that's really helpful if you want to start gathering those items. But back to pre-approval.
Be pre-approved, be ready to go. Last year at this time, if you were trying to buy a house and you had a contingency on getting the loan approved, or you had a contingency on inspections, appraisals,
or like selling your
Yeah,
other
selling your
home, that's a
current house to get
contingency
into
as
that,
well.
that's a contingency. And those offers were not get accepted last year. We had so many people coming over from California, Oregon, Washington. And they were coming with large down payments and they could just buy the house.
And they didn't have contingencies.
They did not have contingencies. We saw a lot of offers that where appraisals were being waived. I never recommend having the appraisal waived or an inspection waived. You kind of need to know what you're getting into.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's going to fit in there, but that has slowed. We're not seeing that as much this year.
Well, that's good.
Homes are staying on the market now up to 8 to 10 days, where last year it was a matter of hours
Oh,
they were
goodness.
selling.
Well, and last year I remember you had that statistic about buyer's remorse
Yes.
and how it was over half of buyers, probably because you're making a huge decision like that in a matter of hours. So it's, I guess, good news that it's slowing down at least a little bit.
And I just saw that report yesterday. Buyer's remorse is still out there. It's still over 50%, but
Okay.
it's not as high as it was last year. And that's historically been a 90%, satisfaction rate. But now you're seeing half the people.
So you're saying like a 10% had buyer's remorse in the past.
Yeah, now we're seeing that closer to 50, which is unprecedented.
Well, hopefully with the changes that you're talking about and predicting, hopefully that starts to come down a little too.
I would hope.
People are happier with the choices they're making because they have a little bit more time to do it.
Yes.
They don't have to be as, putting down $300,000 in cash or something like that.
They don't have to be doing that. This year you're probably going to look at 3 or 4 houses before you get an offer accepted. Where last year it was 10 or 12, and
wow.
I think people were getting discouraged.
Yeah, that makes
trying
sense.
to buy, but this year I think it's going to be a better buyer's market, but we're still going to be a strong seller's market.
I mean, knowing that you may have to look at several homes, put in 3 or 4 offers before you have something accepted. I think that's helpful because it sets the expectation there for people who are watching and who are looking. At least okay, I'm probably not going to get my first offer I make accepted. Just being aware of that when you're going into it, I think could be helpful.
Yes. Don't get emotionally attached to the house until you actually have the offer accepted.
Well, that's easier said than done.
I understand that.
I see a beautiful pool or something, like I'm going to be emotionally attached. Come on, Greg. All right. So you definitely mentioned buyers and what buyers can do, but you also started talking about sellers. What can a seller do this year to set themselves up for success, to really get the most out of, the value of their home, I guess?
Really don't have to do a whole lot of major upgrades to the house. Just have it functional, have it look clean. But I guess the key thing for a seller is know where you're going when the house sells, because it's going to sell fairly quick.
Okay, so it's not as much about preparing your house. It's more about where you're going to go after it sells.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's funny.
That they're still going to sell within 10 days. I would think 10 to 14 days is what we're going to see. Sellers are still getting 99% of their asking price.
Wow.
42% of the market in January sold over list price still. So,
oh, wow.
There's still some crazy out there, but it's settling down.
Good to know. All right. So what about, we've got kind of a different category here, folks wanting to upgrade. So maybe you own a home. You talked a little bit about how if you do own a home and you need to sell it, that's considered a contingency. Those are sometimes being accepted now. Tell me a little bit more about those people and what they should do.
Just you need to be pre-approved. Obviously, that's the key thing there, and ready to move in a moment's notice when you find that house that you want.
Yeah.
Luckily, contingencies are being more accepted, and with the fast-paced market, you can do a simultaneous close and still get your home sold, get into the new home in less than 30 days. So
Wow.
it's all preparedness. Just be ready. When you make the commitment to buy a home, you need to be ready to go.
Yeah, and I know you've told me about like the affordability changing, right? So, the longer you wait, the less affordable it's going to be to upgrade into that next home.
Yes, with the raising rate, interest rates rising, home values still rising, early to the market's going to be better in 22 than later.
Do you have any specific advice or tips? I'm kind of skipping over my question about your advice, because it's, you definitely talked about not waiving inspections, not waiving appraisals. So I'm going to move on to first-time home buyers, because so many of us are out there, have not owned a home in the traditional definition or in the official 3-year definition. But
Right.
What is your specific advice or tips for first-time home buyers in this Arizona market?
First-time home buying in the Phoenix market's a tough market, tough to get into, just because there's so many people with large down payments. The housing prices are going up all the time. Just scanned an article this morning where the median home price now is 400,000. So it's not really a starter home for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
One alarming metric that I saw the other day was last year home prices appreciated 34%, income only appreciated 10%. At some point, where's affordability of owning a home's not there anymore. So that's a little troublesome.
So the gap there is what you're talking about,
gap,
right?
yes.
So if income is going up 10% and homes are going up 34, that's going to be a problem. But again, you also said it's not likely we're going to see 34% again.
We're not going to see that again this year.
So hopefully it's going to level out a bit, but that does make sense.
But for your first-time home buyers, Copper State, we work with the Federal Home Loan Bank out of San Francisco on a down payment assistance program called the WISH program. If you're a first-time buyer in this market, it's key that you seek out grants or down payment assistance, which is matching funds. The one that we participate in and we've helped several members with, it's a 3-to-1. So if you put 5,000 in, they're going to give you 15. So you go in with a $20,000 down payment.
When you say matching funds, I assumed, I guess, that it was double, but you're saying it's 3 times.
3 times. It's up to 3 times as much, to a maximum of 15,000. And you stay in the home 5 years. That's yours to keep. You don't pay any of that back if you sell the house. It's kind of on a 20% earned each year. So if you got 10,
but if you're planning to stay for 5 years, you don't have to worry.
You don't have to worry about it. It's a down payment assistance, and when that 5 years hits, it's gone. That lien comes off the property, and it's yours to keep, and you keep the appreciation on your home.
That's really cool.
But that is the key. If you're a first-time buyer in this market, you're probably gonna. I encourage you to take advantage of the grant program, the WISH program. Feel free to contact a Copper State mortgage loan originator. They're very versed in it. They've helped several members, and nothing's more satisfactory to us as helping somebody get into that first house. And
absolutely. Now, I imagine that's not as quick of a turnaround time. If you're going to do the home loan assistance, the WISH program, there's probably some hoops you need to jump through.
There's some contingencies in there. You've got to, you set up a savings account, you go through a little counseling school. Normally it takes 3 to 6 months to get to that stage.
Okay.
You have to demonstrate the ability to pay your debts.
Make a budget, probably.
Make a budget.
There's some sort of course, I think.
And show that you can save money.
Okay.
And at that point, once you're certified with that, you can go out, start shopping for your home.
Well, that's not that bad.
It's not
too
no,
hard.
it's
that's awesome.
For the availability of the funds and the benefit you get from that, it's well worth the time invested.
Absolutely. And quickly, I know I just want to keep picking your brain all day because there's so many good things to talk about here, but something that's been really noteworthy lately is all of the online services, like online home buying services. What's your opinion of those? I mean, that people probably know what they're called, but Open Door, Redfin, Better, Knock. I mean, there's a list of tons of them. What do you think? What do you have to say about those?
There's a lot of them out there, and in certain situations they're very good. But you got to understand, sometimes a deal's too good to be true might not be true. They're buying your home at a little bit of a discount, letting you stay while you try to find a place to roll the equity. but they keep the appreciation on that home for the time that you're in the home. They're definitely a viable option. If you're upgrading and you need that equity and you want to go ahead and move, you can do that, but that comes at a cost.
Okay.
So I definitely would recommend, this year we're seeing more offers being accepted with contingencies, and with the market still closing in 10 days on the market, you can still get both loans closed within 30 days. Sometimes it's more beneficial to go that route and keep that equity for yourself instead of giving it away.
Yeah, that makes sense. And something you said reminded me. So you mentioned 30 days. Is that a timeline that Copper State Credit Union can typically stick to? I mean, that's fast.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as we've got the cooperation of the borrower, we get the documents we need. If you get pre-approved ahead of time, then all we would need was the purchase agreement, some updated pay stubs. We'd wait on the appraisal, the inspections. Appraisals are going much quicker now.
Oh, good.
Last year, that was kind of an issue where we were butting up against the 30, but we managed to get them all done within 30.
All of them?
Every one of them.
Wow, that's a pretty good rate there. You got 100%.
We had a good year. We work with some great realtors. If you're out there looking to buy a home, and you're a member of Copper State, or you're not a member of Copper State and you'd like to be a member, we can certainly assist you, set you up with a savings account, and work with you and your realtor, and provide you the same great service that we do our current members.
That's awesome. So really, we're getting close to wrapping up here, but I want to make sure you have an opportunity. If there's anything we didn't cover so far, is there anything you want to share with our audience today, who either is watching live or watching after the fact on our website? What do you want to tell them?
Be prepared. Do your homework. Talk to a mortgage loan originator. Know the options available to you, because not all mortgages are created equally. We had an incident not too long ago where someone was getting a 30-year mortgage at a much lower payment than ours. And once we got into the contract and sat down with them, they were getting a 10-year interest-only payment. So the payment looked lower, but they were not paying down that house. They were paying interest on it a lot longer. And not all loans, not all 30-year loans are the same. So definitely seek out the advice of a mortgage loan originator, a mortgage professional that's not your realtor, that's, somebody that deals with the loan. So,
right. Because there's so many different moving pieces when it comes to buying a house. And that, you've got the title company, you've got the lender, everyone knows their part of it so well that going to that source and finding the expert, it's going to be really valuable.
That'll be valuable. And not all, like I said, not all 30-year mortgages are the same.
Yeah.
The pricing's not the same. The origination could be different.
What I didn't know, you mentioned to me, is that even there are still predatory lending practices out there in the world of mortgage.
There are.
It's not just in the ones you would expect.
Nope. It's still happening out there. So do your homework, seek advice from professionals, and good luck. It's a great market. It's a great community to live in. So it's going to be a great year.
Awesome. Well, I love to hear that. And thank you so much. Coming right from our expert, Greg is our Chief Lending Officer here at Copper State Credit Union. And thank you so much for taking time out of your day and doing this. I know it's definitely been much anticipated by our members and non-members to hear what in the world has been going on in the Arizona housing market. So don't worry, you'll be invited back next year.
Great. Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone.